You're listening to What's in Store, a podcast from the Hardlines Information Network. This episode is brought to you by GeldWeb.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Dumais. I'm the editor of HHIQ, and I'm here to talk to Bill Morrison. Bill is a senior retail business consultant with a hefty resume in the Canadian hardware and housewares industry, and his experience includes the revamp of Foot Locker, rolling out the Home Outfitters chain for HBC, and he's had vital roles in TruServ Canada, RONA, ACE Canada, and most recently a stint with IKEA Canada. And culminating his industry achievements, Bill was inducted into the 2024 Canadian Home Products Trade Association Hall of Fame. Congratulations, by the way, Bill. And it's great to have you here this afternoon.
Thank you. Welcome.
Looking
forward to the discussion.
Excellent. We appreciate your time. So can you tell us what four things that you expect to happen in 2025 that will have an impact for the retail home improvement industry?
Okay, so just over the holidays, I've had some time to think about it and do some reading, and I really think we should focus on our customers as retailers. I think sometimes we get lost in just sales data, but I think customers are the reason we're in business, and customers are important. So
Absolutely.
3 or 4 things to think about to go through.
Right.
First of all, I think high prices are a reality today. And sometimes we lose sight of that, people, and inflation may be moderating, but it was actually up 5% last year in total. So, but let me give you a couple of numbers that are a little more kind of factor those people we call customers. Over the last 3 years, rents have increased 22% in Stats Canada. So think about the impact, particularly on young people and young families who are often renters.
Yes.
Now, this is kind of a blow your mind number. Since 2002, which is a generation, the cost of living in Canada, according to the Bank of Canada, is up 162%. So it is expensive to be a Canadian today, and it's particularly expensive for young people, and possibly more to come. Our Canadian dollar today is kind of hovering around 69 cents. So that means it's 8% less in value than it was a year ago. So coming up, perhaps everything we buy a lot as a country of imports and food stuff, is going to be 8% more expensive. So I think the expense of being a Canadian is perhaps one of the things that is out there today.
Yeah, sadly. Okay.
I guess number 2 is our industry, we talk a lot about housing and what that means and that. And I think housing will recover. Everything I've read is that 2025 will be a better year for housing sales and our industry, but my goodness, housing is expensive. And I think we need to recognize the impact of what that could be to our customers. The other thing that is out there for the Bank of Montreal is that this will be a major spring of mortgage resets. There's over 1.2 million mortgages that are resetting in the first 6 months of 2025. If you go back and think about it, that's from 2020 when mortgage rates were about 1%. But 1.2 million Canadian households are going to see their mortgages dramatically increased.
Right. Yeah.
Although mortgage, it kind of moderated, they're out there around 4%. 3% of a typical Canadian mortgage today is somewhere between 500,000 and 900,000. It means a great deal less spending to our community. So I think that's out there and it needs to be thought about, and what that means that is happening.
Sure. Yeah, that'll have a huge impact on their disposable, spending money or their incomes and things like that, right?
Yeah, and we'll get to things we can do later, but I think just for everyone, we should be thinking about customers, and perhaps get to know your community or your market, depending as a retailer how you think about your customers, but But think about the segments out there, and I would encourage you to think particularly about young families and young people, and perhaps if you're in a market with a lot of senior citizens, if they have fixed incomes, and
Mhm.
what that is out there, and you know, we often compete with each other, but we also compete with grocery bills and clothing bills, and particularly rental costs for our customer spending.
Exactly. And what each individual customer's needs are as well, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so what do you think dealers are in for this year in terms of interest rates and how that could affect retail?
Well, I think interest rates will come down. Everything reading, and I read recently by both Bank of Montreal and Commerce, the expectation is perhaps another 1%
Mhm.
over the course of the year.
Right.
It probably in half point increments. And so I think for long-term mortgage rates, they're probably as low as they're going to get, but there could be some short-term opportunities. And
Mhm.
certainly every interest rate down allows people to pay off their credit cards faster or consider things. So I think things will be cautiously okay, but I don't think there's be a big change. And I don't really want to discuss politics too much today, but certainly there's a great deal of uncertainty. And
Right.
many things will happen during the course of the year that I'm not sure in January would predict. But I'll just say it'll be interesting
Right.
over the course of
Well,
the next few months to
right. Yeah.
understand how our country and our
Mhm.
huge partner to the south of us are getting along, and what that'll mean to Canadian spending.
Right. Yeah. New people at the helm, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in your opinion, how important is online shopping?
Well, I think it is the great unrealized opportunity for independent retailers. So it's a challenge. But today, the younger generation that's beginning to dominate spending is in online shopping.
Mhm.
And I think online shopping continues to drive retail sales increases. So I think it's not if you need to participate, it's when you decide to participate
Mhm. Mhm.
and allow that experience for your customers to benefit. Now, for many of the smaller dealers, they're in smaller communities, and I get that across the country, and
Mhm.
perhaps it's easier to drive to their locations than in a big city.
Right.
But why wouldn't you give a customer a great opportunity?
Mhm.
And online shopping is one of the most efficient uses of an independent retailer's cash. It allows you to have a tremendous selection of product without investing in inventory. So
Mhm.
everyone should begin to think about, and we'll talk about action plans later, about how can I maybe put my step into the water a little bit. You don't
Right.
need to dive head first. You
Yes.
don't need to change your business model, but you do need to recognize that online shopping is a reality. If you're not sure, sometimes drop into your local post office or watch a few delivery trucks, and you'll
Mhm.
find your customers are shopping online, and Amazon is as familiar to them as
Right.
Eaton's and Sears was to their parents. So
That's true. Yeah.
they
Mhm.
think about it, and
Mhm. Mhm.
kind of get your foot in the water.
Mhm.
Might be an approach.
Right. So there shouldn't really be any hesitancy or, because of certain categories or anything like that.
No, I think that for a retailer, you want to meet your customers' needs. Go back and think about customers.
Yes.
So certainly those things that your customers buy most frequently, the things that they need weekly or monthly, or perhaps really the fix and repair items in our business to make it convenient. You do want those in your store, but perhaps you don't need every size of ladder, and
Mhm.
perhaps you don't need every item of snowblower, and perhaps you don't need every garden tool. But you certainly want that customer to come to you and be the source. So think about your customers and how you can better serve them. To
Mhm.
say, what does convenience look like? Really means to say, what do I need today is in my store today, but what I can wait for a week. I will be pleased to order for you. It'll be here next week, and I'd love to see you again. And serve you in the community. So I think we have, everybody's got a different market. But if you talk to other retailers or your friends, you can probably figure out pretty quickly what do my customers need today, and what are my customers are willing to wait a few days for, and take advantage of the opportunity to really better serve your customers, which to me is what retail is all about.
Yeah, I mean, is there any benefit to introducing a certain customer or the store itself into having the customer come into the store and then doing the online ordering there?
Absolutely. That's a great idea. But I think, again, it's think like a customer.
Yes.
So many of our retailers have really strong support from their buying groups or from their banners. So you should become an expert on your own website.
Yes.
And understand all of the tremendous options are out there, that viewpoint. You might think about just to say, how do I set up a small area of my store, and to say we'd be pleased to get it for you, and to do it, or perhaps get one of your younger employees a special responsibility, so that they can become the expert on how we can order things for you, and take advantage of that. And I think what is true is every statistic that I've seen, as opposed to just online sales, is about 80% of our customers do a pre-shopping online. So you have a tremendous opportunity to advertise your banner's website, or your buying group's website, or those things in your store. And to let them know that you'd like to be somewhere on their first 4 or 5 clicks, and that they can look at your selection of products and your availability. And I think the more you do that, you just better serve your customers. And it's constantly a surprise when you look at websites. You don't know what you don't know. And then therefore you get an advantage of learning about your company's products and your company's new introductions in a wonderful way. And what better way to welcome an old customer into your store, to say, come over here, let me show you something. Just have a good conversation about new products that they may be interested in. And certainly independent retailers know their customers. It's a tremendous advantage. And if you know somebody is doing a home project or a gardening, what a great way to start a conversation, to say, well, how's your garden going this year? How's that renovation going? And both connect with them, but also then introduce your special products that they can order to complete their project.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that does definitely foster the customer connection. If you're shopping at a store so often, then you get to know one another, and again, you're focusing on the customer, whether it's a phone call or an email or seeing them in person. And I think that all does foster a really good relationship.
Yeah, I kind of call it the cheers philosophy. Everybody knows your name.
Yes.
It is wonderful if you're in a community and you come into a store, that you're recognized. And the retailer says, it's great to see you again, and how can I help you today? And that personal connection is an advantage that independent retailers have, that it is very difficult to do in big stores. Perhaps a few of them do it greatly, but you've got that. Take advantage of it, and leverage it to allow your business to grow.
Right. Now, did you have a lot of experience with that when you sort of returned to the sales floor when you were at IKEA, and versus being?
Yeah. It was. One of the things that's true in retail is people come to stores to buy stuff. And particularly unless their furnace just exploded, they're usually in pretty good moods, because they're buying something for their most important investment, which is their home or their family.
Yes.
And IKEA, what we did is we brought back personal connection. So you have this wonderful large store with literally hundreds of employees and coworkers and thousands of customers. But each one appreciates the fact that to discuss the issue, and you find great joy in helping a customer buy their first desk for their child. If they're a new arrival, getting a piece of furniture that's going to make their home more attractive or proud.
Yes.
And, if you're in a small town, you may not see that as much, but what an incredible opportunity if you have newcomers to help them in their renovation or assist them with advice so that they can, set up a better living environment for their children or their family
Hmm.
or those things. So, we are blessed as an industry that we do affect the most important investment in most people's lives, their homes.
Right.
And Canadians love their homes. And
Mhm.
so I encourage everybody, just think about what's going on in their community about, who's renovating, who's got a new family member coming in from grandparents to babies. And
Mhm, mhm.
uh, the more personal you can do that, I just think the more that independent retailers have an advantage. So
Mhm.
it's just tougher to do in a big environment.
Yes.
You have less time and less
Mhm.
connection. It shouldn't stop you.
Right. Yeah, do as much as you can. Mhm. Why aren't hardware and home improvement dealers doing more with online sales? I know you touched on it a little bit, but is there anything else you could add in terms of, um, research indicating that online sales levels are below
Yeah.
1%, if that's being kind, if they can,
Yeah.
no?
Um, I'll give you three possibilities, but with the note that every independent retailer is different. First of all, they're busy.
Mhm,
It's a lot of work being an independent retailer, and
mhm, mhm.
the combination of both your responsibilities to the business and whether that's product ordering or maintenance, or customers or invoices, and then
Right.
your responsibilities to your family. That you're busy.
Mhm.
So or it's different. And there's always a comfort zone that says, look, I'm doing pretty well today. And I'm not sure I need this as much
Mhm,
viewpoint.
mhm.
And it's probably not in the comfort zone of many owners of the business because it's something that their personal style may not be there.
Mhm.
What I would encourage again is try it. It's because your
Mhm.
customers are already doing it.
Right.
And you are busy, but maybe there's an opportunity to mentor a younger
Mhm.
employee
Mhm.
and ask them to start it. I really use the thing of again, kind of putting your foot in the hot water. You don't have to jump in completely. So maybe you don't need to hire two full-time people.
Right.
You've already got that great tool from your buying group or from your banner. Maybe you need to start somebody and when customers are come in, so maybe 20 hours a week,
Mhm.
and have them be a guide to your online programs and communication.
Mhm.
Maybe you can ask them to send out communication on your Facebook
Right.
or other
There's some social media.
communication tools that,
Mhm.
we've got lots of new arrivals, and this is a service we offer. And maybe you can ask them to become like a bit of an ambassador to, to talk about it, to do
Mhm.
so. So as you get comfortable with it, it becomes self-supporting. One of the truths in every retail thing is your online sales are many, many times a higher ticket than your in-store things. So often for smaller purchases, customers will choose between your article A and B and make a choice. When it comes to dedicated big ticket items, the right ladder, the right drill, the right snow blower, or the right fence, uh, you want to get it right for the customers. So those often lead to very strong sales, new opportunities, and build it. I think it takes a lot of momentum to start something, but I'd encourage people try it. And your customers are going to love it. So again, this is not about the business. This is about the customer,
Right.
and how them to select the categories and do things. And one of the great truths is the future always comes. And the future is younger customers and younger families, and they're embracing. They're as familiar with Amazon and skip the dishes.
Right.
Older generations may have been with Loblaws and Sears.
Yes.
So I just encourage people try it.
Right.
Start with what you can afford.
Yes.
And see how it goes. But recognize it's the future, and it's part of the way to grow your business. And actually a very low investment cost for both inventory and expense.
Okay. Well, speaking of inventory, then how important is it to be refreshing inventory, brick and mortar versus online?
Well, this is the good news. In times of inflation, inventory is your best friend. So I'd encourage action number one is get your inventory in shape. You have an opportunity because the new goods coming in are going to be more expensive. So I would say clean it, spruce it up, package it, make it look great. You check your displays and take advantage of those incoming pricing to perhaps improve your margin and take advantage. At the same time, one of the big actions that will happen is your customer's going to be stressed and looking for deals. And I would really encourage all retailers, as they get their inventory in shape, they also look for the inventory that is not in shape and really set up a savings zone or fixtures or some very clear indications that the customers can save money in your store.
Right.
So as your inventory has not moved, take advantage of that. Take a small markdown, take an opportunity, and create a savings image to your store. One of the things I always encourage independent retailers to do is to steal generously from very successful retailers. If you haven't walked around Costco recently, please do so.
Right.
There are hundreds of what they call instant rebates, but they created a message of savings throughout the whole store. So I would say find those articles that you'd like to think. You don't need to take a big markdown to start the season, but create a savings message. It's going to be important to have savings in your store every week. You have the traditional, I have lower prices on weekends, or I have once a month promotion. Your customers are facing high prices. Their stress level is out there all the time. So I really encourage you, find a way to incorporate your version of instant savings into your promotional plans so that every time the customer comes in, they get a positive reinforcement to say, you get me. I understand I'm looking to save money, and you're giving me opportunities to save money in your store. I appreciate that. So inventory is your friend, but get it ready. Don't be mentally lazy. Get it clean, get it fresh, and those things that aren't working, create a savings zone.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, people don't want to have to wait a month for the next deal, like you were saying.
Yeah, but again, online they don't have to, because Amazon's going to send them an email and say,
by the way,
if you shop on Monday or overnight.
Yes, for sure.
I would say, take the initiative, and there will be margin opportunities this year. So as you think about your sales and opportunity, but customers who are paying higher prices everywhere else are going to be looking for savings. So take the lead in that by controlling the message you want your customers to understand about your store.
Right. Super. So do you have any ideas on what some growth opportunities or categories there might be?
Yeah, again, it comes back to me, Rebecca, think about the customer. I think there's three things that are going to happen with our customers over the time that could be kind of trends, okay? So one is staying close to home. I think travel is going to become not COVID, but a little bit restricted. trips to the US are going to be very expensive.
Yes.
Vacations are going to be expensive. So I think people may be staying closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of think about staycation and day trips.
Yes.
Number two, think about smaller spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So as housing becomes more expensive, there's going to be all kinds of basement conversions happening for both family or perhaps rental factors. There's going to be apartment conversions happening. So big one bedrooms going to two bedrooms for younger people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be the need for like home entertainment. So think about gardening and going to parks and day trips. So the things that you get excited about there is if you think about small spaces, think about becoming an expert in basement renovations.
Mm-hmm.
How you could,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whether you're buying group or your banners to say plans or they think to say how to convert a basement. So, think about the opportunities there for flooring, for plumbing, for lighting as they do it.
Right.
Converting apartments. One of the big trends now is in smaller spaces. So think about a big one bedroom into a two bedroom. So whether that's temporary walls or spacing or again lighting
Mm-hmm.
opportunities, but kind of become an expert there. And when
Decor.
people stay home, think about things that they will need. So we don't often talk about garages, driveways, gardening.
Mm-hmm.
So there's opportunities that find out what's going on in your community and add some points of interest. Pets are a wonderful category. That
Mm-hmm.
the number of dogs in Canada has exploded because of COVID. That and Canadians, man, they love their pets almost as much as their children. So I think there's tremendous opportunities to understand what your community needs to get, let's call it the right dog food
Mm-hmm.
in big bags that are savings. You'll see that customer every week. So I think lots of opportunities, but it does require a little bit again of kind of getting out, talking to people in your community, whether it be landlords or developers or homes, and see what's happening. And if you're in touch with your contractors, you know the things that are happening. Perhaps you live in a cottage area and people are converting cottages to four-season homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of going out in times when people have lots of money, they kind of come to us and they tell us what they're doing. I think we don't have to work harder. We have to think harder this year in terms of seeing what the opportunities are and taking advantage of it. But I think there's great opportunities, but it does require a little bit of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Investigation. Think about your customers and put the customer at the center of what you do, and I think you're going to be very successful.
Awesome. Perfect. So as far as any other action items that you might suggest?
I think there's we've talked a lot about it, but I think that the key thing again, if I could do one thing, is set up a savings zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you do one thing, is set up a savings zones and think about your customers' needs to save money on a weekly basis. Our customers come to us maybe once a month, or unless they're a project or frequently, and they go to the grocery and drugstores all the times. And those are going to be more expensive purchases. So the opportunity for you is to create the right relationship with your customer and to the right relationship with your business too. It's not giveaway margin, but to think about how you can use your store to create real savings for your customer. Number two is just the action is find out what's going on in your community. Mm-hmm. Is really talk about, am I seeing conversions? Am I seeing new people moving in? Mm-hmm. Am I seeing rental properties being updated? Or is this the year where there's going to be a lot of fences or opportunities, but find out and tailor your business to it. Mm-hmm. And then number three is if you haven't done it, hire a couple of young people.
Right.
And not only use them for e-commerce, but use their enthusiasm and excitement. And, investing in young people and training is the way I think we build our industry, and we build the opportunities. I'm an optimist, and certainly my recent experience with IKEA is the younger generation is just fabulous. They are not lazy. They're educated. They have great work ethic, stupid, but they need great leadership.
Yes.
So if there's one thing we haven't talked about is find a young person in your community, hire them. They'll bring energy and enthusiasm, and they'll surprise you with their knowledge and understanding, and use them to grow your business.
Yes. I think mentorship is important, especially in retail as well, no matter where you work, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no business out there that wouldn't benefit from the enthusiasm of a young person. And I just, kind of take it from start small, one,
Yes. Right.
and see if there's a way you can get one young person in your store, and they challenge you. They're not going to accept reasons. Just this is the way we do things. Why is the most common thing. They've been given tremendous education, and they have a certain amount of cynicism built in with their experience. But the why causes you to think, and causes you to think and reflect, and causes you to explain. But the minute you do that, you create the enthusiasm factor for your store. You put a different face on it, and your younger customers, especially coming in, I think will appreciate that enthusiasm and opportunities. I think we're an important industry. We contribute to people's homes, so I think that while there's uncertainty, boy, there's opportunities. So I would say get with it and create a savings zone.
Yes.
For a young person, and then you're going to be in great shape.
Okay.
For 2025.
Excellent. We can end the questions there. And is there anything else that you wanted to chat about or mention?
I just think be proud of what our industry has accomplished. Be proud of the work that the banners and the buying groups have done. And you can, particularly in January, as we look at a year, you can take advantage of any attitude we take. I think we're still blessed to live in this incredible country that has its faults, but it's a wealth of benefits, an exciting thing. It's a country that is people all across the world want to come to. So celebrate that, and get out and be positive and make a difference in our industry. And I think we'll all be fine at the end of the year. So go for it.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, just the why, how diverse, there are all kinds of different customers, and that's how part of getting to know your customer makes a big difference.
And love them.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit just corny, but the last time I checked, the only reason we're in business is our customers.
Correct. Right.
With that, I think if there's a mantra, it's the customer's not always right. I'm a retailer, I get that. But the customer is the only purpose we have there. So I think if you create that positive leadership, and if you're proud to be the store owner of your business, and you come in every morning feeling good, and you set the example of great customer service, your team will catch on. And if you do that, your customers will catch on, and things are good. So that is from the the two-person store in the smallest towns to my experience in IKEA, where you have 300 or 400 co-workers and 600,000 square foot store. The next customer you meet is the most important person you talk to in that day. If you give it your best, you'll be successful.
Perfect.
That's it for me.
It's been fantastic talking to you and hearing your perspective and your wealth of knowledge. And we really appreciate you chatting with us, and we hope to chat with you again soon.
Rebecca, thanks, and all the very best to Hardlines team and all the independent retailers out there across the country. Take care.
You've been listening to What's in Store from the Hardlines podcast series. Today's episode was brought to you by JeldWeb.